Well, we got some information out of U.S. new home sales today, and it is not good. Well, it's not good if you're a seller. It's actually really good news if you're a buyer. We got to get into this, guys. U.S. new home sales tumble 8.9% in October, dropping to more than a 2.5-year low. The Commerce Department said new home sales dropped 8.9% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 544,000 units last month. New home sales in the South, which accounts for the bulk of the transactions, declined 7.7% to their lowest level since July of 2017. The median new home price in the United States fell 3.1% to $309,000 in October from a year ago. Economists polled by Reuters had forecasted new home sales, which account for about 9.4% of the housing market sales, rising 3.7% to a pace of 575,000 units in October. So that's a massive, massive difference there between what analysts were expecting versus what actually came in there. New home sales are drawn from permits and tend to be volatile on a month-to-month basis. They decreased 12% from a year ago. Data last week showed moderate increases in home building and the sales of previously owned homes in October. The housing market is taking a hit from higher borrowing costs, further pushing home ownership out of the reach of many workers. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate is currently 4.81%, not far from the 7-year high of 4.94%, according to data from mortgage finance agency Freddie Mac. Now, first off here, as far as being close to a 7-year high, keep in mind that we've had some of the lowest interest rates over the last 7 years that we've had historically for a long time, right? Generally, interest rates, if you look at the United States, in the past and whatnot, aren't generally this low. So we've had very, very low interest rates for a long, long time, all right? While home price inflation is slowing as demand for purchase cools, it continues to outpace wage growth. This is a little worrisome, obviously. Home prices increased 5.1% year on year in September, in contrast to wages, which rose 3.1% in October. It's never good to see home prices actually rising at a steeper rate than wages. Usually, if anything, you want wages to be outpacing the average home growth out there, or at least kind of keeping in line, something around there, all right? New home sales in the South, which accounts for the bulk of the transactions, declined 7.7% to their lowest level since July of 2017. Sales fell 3.2% in the West and plunged 18.5% in the Northeast to their lowest level since September 2015. They tumbled 22% to a 2.5-year low in the Midwest. The new median home price fell 3.1% to $309,000 in October from a year ago. There were 336,000 new homes on the market in October, the most since January of 2009, and up 4.3% from September. Supply is, however, just over half of what it was at the peak of the housing market boom in 2006. At October's sales pace, it would take 7.4 months to clear the supply of houses on the market, the most since February of 2011, from 6.5 months in September, all right? So all of this news around new home sales, you think this would just be killing the home stocks today. Like, this is some of the worst data we've seen around new home sales. So you would assume like the housing stocks just be getting destroyed today, right? They're not. They're actually all pretty much, break even or up today on a day that you would think they would just be getting absolutely destroyed, even though the market's having a good day, right? Sometimes you can get stocks that have just been beaten down. Like all the housing stocks have been beaten down so bad already in 2018 that they have priced in so much bad news already that these stocks, when the bad news actually does come, it doesn't really, it's almost like the same thing can happen with stocks on the upside, right? Sometimes stocks can go up so much, so fast, right? And they're just like the hype just builds around that stock, and the hype builds and builds and builds, that when the great news does come, it doesn't move the stock, and people are like, what? Oh, all this great news, they killed earnings, blah, 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 and the stock didn't move. Well, sometimes stocks just... So on the downside, the same exact thing can happen. A stock can just get pushed down, pushed down, pushed down, and when bad news actually does come, it doesn't even move the stock down because just so much bad news has already come, all right? Now, something I see is very interesting is if you look at the median home price sold for new homes over basically the course of the last, let's say, 12 months or so, you're going to see it's just been falling and falling and falling. From November, it was around 343,000, it stayed consistent around December, September, and then it started falling from there. And here in October, we're down to around $309,000 there. So what I would say out there in the real estate market is we're moving from a market that was definitely in the seller's advantage, like sellers had all the advantage, to now actually we're going to move into a buyer's market, which is good if you're looking for a home. All right. So 2019, I'm calling it a good year for buyers out there. Whereas 2014 through 2017, those have been great years for sellers. Sellers have been able to give top price there, and it's just been phenomenal for them, and that's awesome, right? But if you've been a buyer in the market over the last few years, you're going to see a lot of homes elevated prices. So it'll be fun to see now, us buyers actually, and I'm looking for a home probably in 2019, a new home and whatnot for my family. So it's a good year to be a buyer out there, in my personal opinion. Interest rates are still low on historical standards. Let's say something does happen in the economy, interest rates lower, you can always refinance or something like that. But I think 2019 will be a good year for buyers out there rather than sellers like it has been for several years out there. I want to know your guys' opinion down there around new home sales. Do you think this is going to get much worse? Do you think we're going to kind of stagnate here for a little bit? What do you guys think about the housing market in general? You think it's a seller's market or buyer's market as we move into 2019? I would love to hear from you guys in that comment section. As always, one more video coming today. It's around Tesla. Thank you for watching and have a great day.